How's it going, everyone? Sinister here, and today I'm about to review Samurai Shodown. This game is available on different systems like Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. So I'm basically going to break down how it looks graphically, how the game plays, and all the different different modes. Excuse me, and how it is. So basically, about to discuss everything on there. So basically, let's get down to business, shall we? Of course, for those if you bought this game in, for those who are veterans of the series like myself, you get treated to that intro, and of course it's basically of Hamaru, meditating on the ground, and of course when he wakes up, he sits there, slashes the trees and the lamppost, cuts him in half, seeing him falling apart, for nostalgia's sake. And so basically, okay, what's the story about this game? I think it's just basically like a reboot of the series in general. To me, it's almost like retelling of the first one, but of course you got different characters like from the sequels, like for Gimagami Jinjiro, that is. Basically, he's a rival of Hamaru. Yeah, just think of Goku, Vegeta, and things like that. The Yang to his Yang, things of that nature. So basically, let's start with the graphics. I mean, graphically, the game is done by their Unreal Engine. And of course, you can see, all the characters got a graphical update. It's like almost 3D like on a 2D plane and things like that. Of course, you see the detail, like how the characters look, how they move, how they fight. And of course, the backgrounds that they fight. And of course, you fight on a dojo, a beach. You see outside of a house where the cherry blossoms are. Just for example. And of course, like the way your character, takes damage and things like that. Of course, you see the blood splatter on their clothes. And of course, you see a lot of blood. Basically, if your character or your opponent, you see them get cut in half and things like that. So, which is really cool, things like that. But of course, for those who are kind of offended, like all the violence and things, you have the option to turn it off and things like that. So, it's basically, a choice for anyone. It's like, hey, for those who love the blood, like, veterans like me, it's like, hey, just go at it. Or for those who don't want to play with all the blood and violence, well, you can basically turn it off. Things like that. So anyways, like, moving on, just get down to the gameplay. That's one thing that I like. And of course, playing this just, brings me memories of playing this in the arcade of the first one. Basically like one-on-ones, like, fighting either the computer or another person, things like that. So, but this time you're not popping in any quarters. And of course, like the original game, it appeared on different systems. Of course, you started out on the Neo Geo. Then of course, it got ported to different systems like the Genesis and Super Nintendo, like back in the 90s. Just for example. And of course, they had like many sequels. That started in the arcade, then hit the home ports and stuff like that. And of course, I had some of them on my other two systems. I could sit there and play from time to time. So anyway, it's like, as far as the gameplay is, just like the way the controls are, just especially when you're trying to pull your moves. I mean, like I said, depending on what system you play on, it's like, the controls are great. I mean, that's really cool and things like that. Of course, the version I'm playing is on the Xbox One. But if you're playing on the PlayStation or the Switch, I'm sure the controls are fine for you. Like I said, it's just to each their own, what system they play it for. So basically, next, break down the different game modes. You have your basic, your training, your survival, your time attacks, and of course you have your online mode, and of course the meat and potatoes of it, the story mode. I'm sure like everybody want to gravitate towards the story mode, because for like me, I like a good game with a good story, and of course depending on the fighter you're, I want to see like everybody's story and how they interact with each other, things like that. So, like for example, Hamaru and Jinjiro, things like that, since they're rivals and stuff like that, they go to different paths, things like that. So anyway, basically practice mode is just basically what it is. It's like, you can sit there and train, just play by yourself against an AI opponent just to know the moves, the commands and stuff like that. Or for the beginners out there, which I recommend, it's basically tutorials, so that way you get the know-how of all the different buttons for offense and defense. Speaking of defense, like something new I noticed in there's like the way that you time your blocks. It basically, you see sparks flying, and basically you can counterattack, which is really cool. And something new that they also add in there is like, of course, the rage meter has also been in the games before, but of course this one has a deeper meaning because your rage meter, once you build it up, you hit your 3 attack buttons, you go into the rage mode. If you hit it again, it goes into this cool animation. It's like your opponent, depending, if they get hit or not, it goes into a combo slash. And basically does major damage, which is really cool. And of course you have a lightning slash move, which is like a special move. It's just basically you just wail into your opponent with combos and just do a lot of massive damage too. And it's like, which is really cool. And of course, something like from the old school game, it's basically like when you lock weapons at the same time, basically you time it and things like that. You just like, say who can win and disarm your opponent first. Could it be you or could it be them? This is really cool, but the thing is, it can only do it like once. So yeah, basically you gotta time it right. So anyway, it's like, how does the story mode? Basically the story mode is just basically what it is. Like, you choose your character, you go to the story mode, you hear an introduction, which is basically in Japanese. Then it goes into a cutscene. It's like who you're gonna fight, which is really cool. Things like that. I mean, like I said, I just tested it out to see how it is. It's really great. So, like graphically, it's really cool. But the thing is, like in the story mode, like if you play the arcade, basically like after you win, you see the 2 referees like carry the dead body away, like either you being beaten or if you beat whoever your opponent is. But of course, you don't see it in this one. It's like basically after you win, it goes into a screenshot of your character or your opponent, whoever won. And it goes into the win quote, and then of course either you continue or you move on. Things like that. So basically, before I close out, like basically, what score would I give this? But to me, I give this game a 4.5 out of 5. I mean, of course, what I stated earlier, like when the story mode after you win. I have to see like the referees carry away your body and things like that, but that's just my only gripe about it. But as far as the positive goes, I like the way the rage meter interacts, and of course the way you play defense. Like you can deflect your attacks and counter and things like that. Of course, you can sit there and dodge, which is really cool. Things like that. But once you get it down, like for beginners, if you get practice enough, that's like, hey, take it online. It's like things of that nature. So, anyways, I just want to say this is Sinister. Be easy. Don't forget to hit that like button and hit the bell for notifications. Y'all take it easy.